Good morning. Welcome. 1,000 welcomes. And what a joy to be here. We've been all along, haven't named it, but we've been all along meditating on pure love in action. And so thank you, just because your very presence, your existence, your aliveness, your beingness, your awareness, your generosity, your thoughtfulness is pure love in action. And so a couple of scriptures and teachings to remind us of this. One comes from the Upanishads. And the Upanishads, the Chandogya Upanishad tells us, the one who glows in the depths of your eyes, that is the supreme. That is the self of yourself. That is the beautiful one, the luminous one. In all the worlds, forever and ever, that one shines. And so we're just invited to connect with that shining, that luminousness, that love, that awareness, that purity, that faithfulness within ourselves, and allow that to broadcast through us right where we are, right here and right now, in this beautiful now, in this moment. Another teaching, and this is from the Buddha, the one who is awake. Right view takes you to joy. And so, another thing, I'm paraphrasing a teaching from Thich Nhat Hanh. Something other than right view takes you to suffering. And so Thich Nhat Hanh says that misperception creates suffering. And he also says most human perception is misperception. And so, with great good humor, we are invited to lovingly free ourselves from misperception, which creates suffering for ourselves and others, and allow ourselves to go straight to right view, straight to joy. And so I have a story, and I have an invitation for all of us. And so this is a true story that crossed my path this last week. And it's one of those stories, I'm telling the story about this other man, this other life, because this truth is often easier to witness in another life. It is a story about our own life. It is a story about how we can find healing and freedom in this moment for ourselves in our own life. And so for this particular man, contemporary man, when he was 10, his older brother died. And so his older brother was his idol. He loved his older brother. His older brother could do no wrong. And one day, they were at home. They lived in a rural area. The brother was out on a tractor, and the tractor overturned, and his brother was killed. He was only 10, and so he didn't have self-awareness at that time of the loss and the magnitude of the loss, and how to allow himself to feel the loss. It was decades later that he felt steady and aware enough within himself that he went to his mom and he said, "Mom, is there anything that you haven't told me about the day my older brother died?" And she said, "Before your older brother died," and again, he was 10 when this happened, "I always used to know where you were because you were always singing. And I could just listen and I would know where you were. And after that day, you stopped singing." And it wasn't until he was a mature adult, decades later, that he was able to allow himself to feel the loss that he had felt. Until that moment, his memory actually would not allow him to remember on what day his brother had died. Until that moment, he was actually not able to allow himself to feel the love that he had felt for his brother. Until that day in his life, decades later, he was afraid to love other humans. He was even afraid to live in a place where he wanted to live because he was afraid to form attachment and like a place where he lived. And so decades later, his mom gave him this piece of information. Everything clicked into place. He became able to remember the day on which his brother had died. He became able to let himself grieve. He became able to let himself love. He became able to let himself love in the present moment, the humans who are in his life right now. Notice what else happened next. He became able to perceive his brother was not dead. His brother had left the body, but his brother had always been with him. The love and the strength and the support and the presence and the encouragement of his brother had never for one moment been absent from his life. But it wasn't until he became able to open his heart, to lovingly hold grief in his heart, to form spiritual friendships and kinships and community and connection, that he was able to fully love other humans, that he was able to fully be present in time and space, that he was able to be fully aware we're never separate from the ones we think we have lost. Their love and their strength and their support is with us every moment of our time in embodiment. And so by grace, he was able to open his heart, and he was able to become aware his brother's been here his entire life. That love and that strength and that support. He's like, my brother's still my older brother. So his older brother will still tease him. His older brother will still put him in his place. They're able to connect on the level of soul now. So one of the things that helps each of us do this, because each of us has these memories from a human perception, from a human perspective of what we have lost, of who we have lost. Let go your image of the person suffering. Let go your image of the person dying. Let go your image of the person being afflicted by any limitation. They are not that. They have moved beyond that. Like that. The moment that they shuffle off this mortal coil, I think it might have been Shakespeare who said that, they're not that. But we, decades later, still carry their pain and their trauma from that moment, and we reproduce it in our own energy. And until we're able to love ourselves free of that, we're not able to perceive they are not that. All those decades, they have been aliveness, lifeness, freedom. And so for each of us, this is a meditation to return to again and again and again, because each of us has seen someone that we love die in pain. That's not where they are anymore. And so please give yourself the gift of letting go of that image of them. Please allow yourself to lovingly hold what happened. It's okay to remember the date on which it happened, but also know that's not where they are. That's not what they are experiencing right now. They are dancing. They are striding across mountaintops. They are singing. And when we have that awareness, we are able to sing again. And they want us to sing again. They want our song in time and space to be a gift to them. They're singing already. And so we don't need to wait either. And we're invited as often as it takes to let go of the images of suffering that we hold in our minds, in our awareness, in our memories. Whether it's our parents or our children or our friends or our beloveds who we have seen, that's not where they are. And so please give yourself the gift of freedom, give them the gift of freedom. That's not where they are, and so it's not where we need to be either. So be the aliveness, be the connection, be the love, be the strength, be the song. And that's the gift that we give our loved ones. A beautiful gift. So here's a story about that as well. And this is a story that actually made me hoot with laughter. So you'll maybe understand why in just a second. Stay with me on this one. So it's a story about a patient and a doctor. And it turns out that in this particular story, the doctor is the one who needs the most help, not the patient. Okay, so the patient has a terminal condition. The patient is in a hospital. The patient knows who he is. The patient knows what is real. The patient knows reality. And so the patient's fine. The doctor does not know who he is. The doctor does not know reality. And so here's the outer scenario that I'm sharing with you. So here's this patient booming with laughter as the doctor and this sort of set of interns who are training under the doctor's supervision every morning make their rounds, and they check in with this patient. And they're making their rounds of people who have terminal diagnoses and are in the hospital. And this man is like bursting with laughter, beaming with joy, smiling, asking all of the interns, how are you? How are your families? What are you learning? Do you get some sleep sometimes? What do you do to have fun? And the doctor is so annoyed by this. He's like, does this guy not understand his diagnosis? Does he not understand his condition? What is wrong with him? And so he keeps getting more and more tense and frustrated and annoyed. And he's like, well, I always go into him in the morning when the sunshine is streaming through the windows. Maybe that's just like when he's at his brightest. So he gets this really demented idea. And this is the part, do not do this at home, that made me hoot with laughter, because it shows how deluded and confused the doctor is. So he has a pen light, right? You remember those old pen lights? He has it in his pocket. He decides to wake the patient up at 1 a.m. and shine the pen light in his eyes and say, how are you now? So don't do this at home. But he does this. He walks into this hospital, he wakes his patient up, shines the pen light in his eyes at 1 a.m, and the guy is beaming with joy. The doctor says, how are you? And the patient says, please remember this line, who's you? And the doctor turns the pen light to himself, shines it on his, God bless him, demented face, and he says, I'm your doctor. Don't you know who I am? And the patient says, who's you? And the doctor's like, I'm the specialist who's treating you. I come see you every morning. Don't you know who I am? And the patient says, who's you? And this goes on until the doctor finally gets it. And he realizes that patient's question, the who's you question, cuts through the doctor's confusion, the doctor's identification with his own role, the doctor's illusion of separateness, the doctor's arrogance, the doctor's ignorance, and the doctor realizes, I'm one and the same as my patient. And the doctor starts laughing, and the patient starts laughing. And they are guffawing. They are like, you know when you laugh so hard, it's like belly laughter and your gut hurts because you're laughing that hard? They're laughing that hard. And tears are streaming down that doctor's face. And he realizes, I am the same as my patient. And it changes the doctor in a lasting way. So thereafter, his colleagues in the hospital witness the interns will ask the doctor, so doc, what do you think? Like, is this the best medicine to give this particular patient? And the doctor says, use your best judgment. The important thing is to know, this is your brother. This is your sister. This is your own self. Ask them how they are. Hold their hand. Write a letter for them. Ask them how they are doing. And allow yourself to hear. And so for each of us, we're invited to disidentify. That patient was free because that patient, of course, was aware of the diagnosis, of course, was aware of the condition of the body. His soul was whole. And he knew what was real, and he knew who he was. And so that is what we are invited to share everywhere that we are and everywhere that we go. And so for just a second, I'm inviting us to close our eyes and to put into motion a profoundly potent meditation for ourselves. So I tell these life stories about others because they're easier for us to see the truth, the spiritual principles that are alive and in motion in other lives. Now each of us is invited to integrate and activate these truths in our own lives. So quietly, in the heart, I silently give permission for the divine to melt away the images of human suffering that I have carried and have held on to, whether the human suffering is my own, whether it is my beloved parent, my beloved child, my beloved friend, my beloved partner. I let go of identifying with the images of human suffering. I'm not being ignorant. I am aware. I am responsive to the human experience. And I disidentify with limitation, with pain. I allow myself to see the full, whole, pure light that is always present in the core of every being, including myself. I identify first with that pure light within myself. I identify with that pure light within another. And so first, choose one beloved one whom you love, who is no longer here in the physical. Lovingly hold in your hands, in the light of kindness and awareness, the human story and the human images of suffering. They happened in time and space, and the moment our loved one leaves the physical, they vanish. So when you are ready, lovingly gift your images of human suffering to the pure light. Lovingly allow divine hands to lift those images of human suffering from your hands. Allow yourself to be freed from that burden you have carried, and allow divine hands to carry it and hold it and melt it into the pure reality that our loved one is free. They are love, they are strength, and we are giving ourselves permission to connect with their love and their strength, which not for one moment has ever been separate from us. So the healing meditation we just activated, you might notice effects right now, you might notice them ongoingly. If you have served as a caretaker for a loved one, if you have internalized images of the suffering a loved one has experienced, I invite you, please bless yourself with the gift of this meditation as often as you find it helpful. And then the next one, if you experience any pain, any diagnosis, any condition, any limitation within yourself, of course, take your medicine. Your medicine is the divine in the form of your medicine, as long as that medicine is helpful to support the body. And disidentify with limitation. On the level of the soul, your light is absolutely whole. Your light is absolutely strong. Your light is absolutely vital. This is true every moment we are in embodiment. The patient in the hospital bed in this story illustrated that. Good morning, man illustrated that. Every one of you, always, no matter how you feel humanly, you are that, and you illustrate that. So we're giving ourselves permission to allow, in the fullness of the now, pure, loving awareness to support us, to step forward through us, to shine, to share itself in us, to fill our body with immeasurable, boundless strength and energy and vitality, and to allow boundless pure love and wisdom, kind awareness to share through us in time and space, broadcasting through us everywhere that we are, completely open to the beautiful now moment, knowing that in the now, in consciousness, is all wholeness, all creativity, all vitality, all love, all fullness, all divine union, all consummation of all that we adore in purity. You are that, and this becomes more and more visible in time and space, in that network of light, that Indra's web of light, that ocean of pure love that we connect with and that we amplify every time we stand in the light together, every time we magnify the light as we meditate together. Thank God, and God bless us all.